If you grew up in Britain during the 1960s, or even the 70s, there are certain cars you simply never forget. You'll remember seeing them parked outside rows of terraced houses, sitting in pub car parks, or rolling slowly through town centres on a rainy Saturday afternoon. Back then, cars weren't packed with gadgets or screens. They had personality. Each one had its own sound, its own smell, its own little quirks. And funny enough, it's often not the expensive cars people remember most. It's the everyday motors, the ones families relied on, the ones people learned to drive in, the ones that carried shopping bags, suitcases, kids, dogs, and memories. For many people, these cars became part of life itself. And once you see them again, it all comes flooding back. So tonight, let's take a proper trip down memory lane and look at 10 classic cars from the 1960s that still bring back memories across Britain, and as we go along, see how many you remember yourself. Number 1. The Ford Cortina. Now this was a proper British favourite back in the day. The Ford Cortina seemed to be absolutely everywhere. If your family didn't own one, chances are someone on your street did. Reliable, practical, and smart-looking without costing a fortune. That's exactly why people loved them. The Cortina wasn't trying to be flashy. It was simply built for everyday life. School runs, work commutes, family holidays, trips to the seaside. It handled all of it. And there was something about the shape of those early Cortinas that people still remember fondly today. Clean lines, simple chrome details, and just enough style to make you proud to own one. Of course, owners also remember the little quirks. Cold winter mornings could be a bit of a battle. You'd pull out the choke, turn the key, and hope the engine fancied cooperating that day. Sometimes it fired up first time, other times not so much. Still, people forgave it, because once it got going, it was dependable. A proper family motor. And for many people, it was their very first car. Go on, what color was yours? Number 2. The Morris Minor. Now here's a car that instantly puts a smile on people's faces. The Morris Minor had charm. Real charm. Even people who never owned one still remember them fondly. That rounded shape, the gentle little headlights, the cheerful engine sound. It looked friendly somehow. And back then, families absolutely loved them. Not because they were fast, they certainly weren't, but because they were simple, affordable, and built to keep going. A cracking little car. The sort of motor that became part of family life. You'll remember seeing them parked outside corner shops, tied up with bits of string holding something together, somehow still running perfectly, and owners became fiercely loyal to them. You had to work with a Morris Minor sometimes, especially in winter. Starting one on a freezing morning could be a proper test of patience. But once you understood the car, it rewarded you. And that's why so many people still talk about them with affection today. Number 3. The Mini. Few cars changed Britain quite like the Mini. When it first appeared, it looked tiny compared to everything else on the road. But somehow, people squeezed entire families inside them. Kids in the back, shopping in the boot, luggage strapped wherever it would fit, and off you went. The Mini-ish felt modern, different, fresh, perfect for narrow British streets and busy town centres. And for younger drivers especially, it became a bit of a symbol of freedom. Cheap to run, easy to park, and surprisingly fun to drive. Mind you, if you were tall, getting comfortable could take a bit of effort. Still, people didn't care. The Mini had personality in buckets. You'll remember how lively they felt, like a little go-kart compared to bigger cars of the time, and even today, hearing one buzzing down the road instantly takes people back. Number 4. The Jaguar Mk2. Now this was something special. The Jaguar Mk2 wasn't just a car. It was a statement. Back in the 60s, seeing one glide past turned heads immediately. Polished chrome, beautiful curves, rich wooden dashboard. Inside, it looked classy from every angle. And the performance? For the time, it was properly impressive. Smooth, powerful, refined, the sort of car successful businessmen dreamed of owning. Or perhaps your local doctor had one parked outside the house. Mind you, the Jaguar Mk2 also earned a bit of a reputation in police dramas and old crime stories. They became linked with fast driving and dramatic getaways. But for ordinary people, it represented luxury, a proper British motor car. And even now, they still look absolutely stunning. Number 5. The Ford Anglia. Now, this one had a look all of its own. That backward sloping rear window made the Ford Anglia instantly recognizable, bit unusual. But people loved it, and because they were affordable, they became hugely popular with working families, reliable little cars that did exactly what people needed. Nothing more, nothing less. A lot of learners got their first experience behind the wheel of an Anglia, and many owners remember just how simple they were to work on. Back then, plenty of people did small repairs themselves, bit of tinkering at the weekend, bonnet up on the driveway, neighbours offering advice whether you wanted it or not. That was all part of motoring life, and despite being quite basic, the Anglia earned huge affection from British drivers. Number 6. The Rover P5. Now, here was a car that felt important, big, comfortable, and seriously respectable. The Rover P5 was the sort of car that made people stop and look. Cabinet ministers used them, business executives drove them, and for many ordinary families, owning one felt like a distant dream. Everything about it felt solid. Doors shut with a proper, heavy clunk. Seats felt like armchairs. And inside, you had polished wood and chrome everywhere. Built like a tank. Really. But still elegant. You didn't rush anywhere in a Rover P5. You cruised calmly, smoothly. And if you ever rode in one as a child, chances are you still remember the feeling today. Number 7. The Hillman. Imp. The Hillman Imp doesn't always get mentioned as much today, but back then they were everywhere. Small, economical, and surprisingly modern for their time. They were roots groups answered to the Mini, and for many younger families, they made car ownership feel affordable. The Imp had a rear engine, which made it feel a bit different to drive, and while they weren't perfect, plenty of owners loved them dearly. Some people still swear they were underrated. Mind you, they could be a bit temperamental at times, especially if maintenance was neglected. But when they ran properly, they were cracking little cars, and they became part of everyday Britain through the 60s and early 70s. Number 8. The Triumph Herald. Now, this was a stylish little thing. The Triumph Herald had a slightly posher feel compared to some rivals. Sharp lines, plenty of chrome, and a tidy interior. It looked modern without feeling too expensive, and people loved that. One thing owners always remember is the steering light. Easy, perfect around town, and that bonnet opening forwards felt very clever at the time. Of course, like many British cars of the era, they had their little quirks, but that was almost expected back then. Cars had personalities. You forgave them their faults because they felt alive somehow, and the Herald certainly had charm. Number 9. The Austin Cambridge Now. This was a proper family car. Comfortable, roomy, dependable. Exactly what British families wanted during the 1960s. The Austin Cambridge became a familiar sight all over the country. Loaded up with suitcases for summer holidays. Kids arguing in the back. Dad refusing to stop and ask for directions. You can picture it straight away. And while it might not have been the flashiest car on the road, people trusted them. That mattered back then. Reliability was everything. Families needed a car that started every morning and kept going. And that Cambridge earned a solid reputation for exactly that. Number 10. The MGB Now. Here's one that made people dream. The MGB wasn't necessarily the practical family choice, but plenty of people wanted one, especially on sunny days. 2 seats, sporty styling, roof down, driving through the countryside. It represented freedom, and perhaps a little bit of excitement too. For many people, owning an MGB felt like a reward after years of hard work. Mind you, British weather didn't always cooperate. Owners will remember hurriedly pulling the roof up when the rain suddenly arrived, which, let's be honest, happened quite often. Still, when the sun was out, there weren't many better feelings. Even today, the sight of an MGB instantly brings back memories of another Britain. Looking back now, it's amazing how much these cars meant to people. Not because they were perfect. Most weren't. Some rattled, some leaked, some refused to start now and then. But that was part of owning them. Back then, cars felt mechanical. You understood them. You listened to them. And somehow, that created a connection modern cars often don't have. Today, everything feels sealed away behind computers and screens. But in the 1960s, driving felt simpler, more hands-on, more personal. And for many people, these weren't just cars. They were part of life itself. Your first driving lesson, your first holiday, your first date, your first real bit of freedom. Funny how seeing an old motor can suddenly bring all of that rushing back. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these classic cars do you remember most? Did your family own one? Or was there another 1960s car you still miss today? Go on, let me know in the comments. I always enjoy reading your memories. And there are some absolutely brilliant stories shared on this channel. And if this video brought back a few memories from the old days, give it a like. It helps more people discover these moments and keeps Britain's motoring memories alive. And if you fancy more trips down memory lane like this, don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more still to come.